Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. We are discussing this morning the government's statement before the Parliament, which was delivered by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouri. We are going to analyze this government statement. In addition, that we are going to discuss the economic reforms in Egypt during the challenge of the COVID-19 coronavirus, and also the impact of the mega project in Egypt in boosting economy and also attracting investments to Egypt. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host today Dr. Yomn Hamaki, Professor of Economics at Shams University. Good morning, Dr. Hamaki.
Good morning.
Well, Dr. Hamaki, how do you analyze or read the government statement before the Parliament?
Actually, this is a very important, time for Egypt after having these 10 years of reform after, the revolution of 2011. We had a very tough time economically after the revolution, since the economy has been affected seriously by the revolution because of unstabilization, as you know, and because we didn't have a political system and so on. So this affected seriously the economic situation. And then when we started from 2016 specifically, it's time to revise what we have done for this period and to what extent we have achieved, our goals from economic reform. And from here it comes the speech of our Prime Minister in the Parliament, with a new Parliament too. This is another point which is quite important, in which we have a great change in that Parliament. We can see now more role of political parties in the Parliament. We are going to have opponents in the Parliament, and from here it comes that we can talk nowadays as that Egypt has been successfully formalized their economic, social and political systems to go ahead for a better life for most Egyptians. So this is a very important, statements that have been done with a new parliament, a new leadership of the parliament, and in which we are looking forward for a better law in the parliament, not only for legislation, because we witnessed last parliament they did their best towards having legislations that may affect the economic performance and social and political performance, but yet we have a new parliament that we are expecting more role of monitoring and evaluation for the performance. Yes. Because we need this period for monitoring and evaluation. We cannot, we don't have the time for trial and error. We used as Egypt to use policies as we have policies, good policies, but still they are not relevant to the situation of people and the system itself. And from here it comes that if we have a good system of monitoring and evaluation to revise every step and to know to what extent policies can be applicable in reality, and this is a big challenge for Egypt all the time, this is a very important role to be done by the parliament. And from here it comes the importance of this event that Prime Minister is talking about, the achievements that have been done by the ministers. Every day in the parliament, 2 ministers or more, they are proposing and explaining what they have done during the period, and the parliamentarians are discussing with these ministers to what extent these policies have affected the people, since they are representing yes. people. So they are talking to how extent the policies have been successful to address the needs of people and the needs of achieving a better economic and social yes. performance. And from this discussion, which is quite important nowadays, we can have a better look for the future, what we need, what are the point of strength, what are the point of weakness that we have to address seriously. So this is such a very important event for Egypt.
Yes, yes. What was the main paragraph that attracted you? And especially, I would like to say, to quote, that the Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said that the government managed to implement 100% of its economic reform program and reviewed achievements in various fields, including success of the impacts of the coronavirus amid tough times.
Actually, yes, I agree with Dr. Mustafa Madbouli regarding that we have achieved a successful
100%
economic reform. I'm not with 100% actually, because still we have a lot of challenges that we have to confront. 100% from his point of view regarding the macroeconomic indicators that proved actually, and 100% I think he means by 100% that
great achievement.
Actually it is great achievement from one perspective. From another, that we have good economic indicators. We have, if you look to the rating agencies and international organizations, that they praised to large extent, our economic reform. So from here it comes that we can refer to this economic reform as a successful economic reform. Still, why I challenge 100%, because still, we have a lot of challenges. When we revise the impact of economic reforms that Egypt has done for the last period, we can notice that we achieved good indicators regarding macroeconomic stabilization, regarding inflation rate, and Dr. Mustafa Madbouli mentions that for the first time from 14 years we achieved, inflation rates that arrived to 5.4%, which is quite good. We have succeeded to reduce unemployment rate towards 7.3%, which is quite good. Despite that, with COVID-19, we returned into 9% unemployment rate, and this is natural. All countries of the world are suffering from COVID-19, and it affected seriously unemployment rate. And from this perspective, this is quite good. We can add to that mega projects that allowing Egypt nowadays for a better economic performance. If you can imagine, the geographical area of Egypt, we used to live on 6% of this geographical area.
Yes.
And due to that, we cannot exploit our resources, rationally enough. Nowadays, when we extend this into Sinai with all its resources, into El-Wadi al-Jadid with all resources in Upper Egypt, with full of opportunities, as we as economists, we have all these resources as researchers and data. We know quite well to how extent Egypt are not using its resources efficiently. And with transportation and mega project and building, infrastructure, this may help a lot to have, very good opportunities for Egypt for exploit resources in a better way. But from my point of view, still a lot of challenges that need to be addressed properly for the coming period. And I believe the coming period, the most important thing for us is to prioritize what we need to do, because we have this mega project. We spend a lot for this mega project that left us in a challenging situation regarding macroeconomic stabilization. We have internal debt that is quite large. We have external debt too. Despite that, we are managing this debt quite in a rational way, but still we are challenging this debt. Which can put us into the most important priorities, and these priorities can be classified into, number one, trying to answer the question, To how extent we can rely on only foreign indirect investment to fulfill our needs of foreign inflows of currencies. This is one question. We cannot rely on that. We put our capabilities for tourism, but unfortunately, COVID-19 affected the inflows coming from tourism. So we have a problem nowadays regarding these inflows. So we have to concentrate on, number one, enhancing our competitiveness. And this is my answer to Dr. Mustafa Madbouli. We still have a lot of challenges regarding improving the competitiveness of our products, specifically in industrial sector and the agriculture sector. Despite that, we cannot neglect that a lot of achievement have been done regarding, the industrial sector, the agriculture sector. We have a very ambitious program of 1.5 million fat bens to be reclaimed in the using most sophisticated technology, and this is quite important for us. We have good steps towards achieving this goal, but still for the competitiveness of our industrial sectors, there is a lot to be done, yet we haven't done so well regarding that.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Hamaki, in reaction to the Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli delivering the government statement, for his part, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chancellor Hanafi El-Gibali, hailed the government's program and said that it reflects the presidential, comprehensive and ambitious vision towards the year 2030. How do you read this statement?
I think, yes, Egypt is having very good potentialities, inshallah, to achieve very good results by 2030. 2030
on the right track.
Yes, on the right track actually, but with the modification I have just mentioned regarding the concentration of our real economy, and this is what we can call structural reform, because Egypt, if we refer from 1990, structural reform.
Yes.
What do you mean by structural reform?
Yes,
it means that concentrating on the real sectors of the economy, which are industrial and agriculture sector. Agriculture sector is quite important to achieve food security for people. We are 100 millions, so we have to sustain our food security quite well in order to fulfill the needs of the population and to achieve food security. This is quite important, and we are on the right track to do that. We have done a lot in order to secure our agriculture sector, but still a lot of challenges regarding how to deal with small properties, how to activate the role of small farmers, because when you do it in a proper way, you are affecting the life of people. Nowadays, like Dr. Mustafa Madbouli mentions, that the government has succeeded to reduce the rate of poverty from 32.5 into 29.7, but still 29.7 is very high rate of poverty. Plus, if you add what we are nowadays facing as COVID-19, you can see that 29.87 is not going to be like that. It's going to increase with COVID-19. So I believe that still the challenge of addressing poverty in Egypt is a very big challenge, and we have mentioned several times that economic empowerment of poor people can be represented here as a cornerstone towards addressing poverty. And when we select the right trade strategies regarding export promotion and import substitution, I believe you can achieve this goal. Why? Because nowadays the government is specifying a very ambitious goal, which is arriving to $100 billion as export within the 3 years. These 3 years. I cannot see the right policies are implemented nowadays, or the visionary approach behind how the government is going to do that. using our capabilities. We have the capabilities to do that. We have a public sector, we have a private sector that we need to enhance. We have the role of small business and small industries. I believe that making a holistic approach and comprehensive strategy by enhancing the role of these entities and players in the industrial sector and improve the competitiveness of Egypt in specifically the industries that we have already a comparative advantage in it. We have a comparative advantage in several industries that we need to be, or it needs to be enhanced. So by concentrating on that, you are addressing poverty by opening opportunities for small farmers, for small industries to approach international market and penetrate international market. So you are increasing the roles. How you can do it? Number one, by having data.
Yes.
We don't have actually data base regarding who are performing in the market. The informal sector, we don't have enough data regarding how we can activate the role of informal sector towards being engaged in formal sector and having their contribution, proper contribution towards exportation and import substitution. So still a lot to be done regarding, and this is actually related to have a visionary approach and to specify who can do what, and then having a system of monitoring and evaluation. And I believe this parliament, is quite a good and strong parliament that can follow and monitor what's happening so that we can, inshallah, have a better results for the coming period.
Yes. Dr. Hamaki, how would the stability and the political affairs in Egypt would help in bringing an atmosphere or boosting the economy in Egypt?
Actually, our president is, very ambitious and, he's working very hard. And the visionary approach is quite clear for him regarding, shifting Egypt into a better country and a better quality of life for Egyptian people. He is trying to do a mega project and trying to change
also digitalizing
the geographic,
the government.
Yes, map of, but still, what we are talking about is what is the institutional capacity that can cope with such ambitious and very hard work and visionary approach. Still, we have problems regarding our institutional capacity building, human resources that can cope with such a leap that has been done regarding, the transformation of Egypt by such a mega project into a better quality of life. Because you cannot do it in this way without having a very big institutional capacity in order to specify the priorities, in order to see to how extent people, the labor force that are going to achieve such a goal. Nowadays, despite a very successful economic reform according to the IMF, International Monetary Fund, still we have a very important comment by international organization. Every revision of such organization, this comment can be appeared as quite clear, which is the comment of still the private sector in Egypt is doing a minimal role.
Yes.
And we can put here a big question mark. Still foreign direct investment, despite all opportunities, profitable opportunities of investment in Egypt, still we don't have the right figure of foreign direct investment. These are a big question marks that need to be addressed properly. We need to, despite that we have changed and a lot of achievement had happened regarding enhancing our ranking in the competitiveness index and the doing business index, still a lot of challenges confronting the environment of investment, and from here it comes that the rate of investment in Egypt is still very minimal. In order to cope with that, we have our banking sector. We have a very strong banking sector in Egypt, and I believe that for the coming period we should activate the role of our banking sector by a very important visionary approach towards how the central bank, by policies of credit, enhancing the policies of credit, to activate the role of the private sector. Because without a very strong role of the private sector, in which you can see large business in cooperation with medium and small and micro, you cannot have or expect the results that we need regarding the exploitation of our resources.
Yes. Dr. Hamaki, the development projects, we have national projects, we have projects, and we have mega projects. Could you name some of the development projects, and how would this add to the clear plan or vision of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the clear plan of the economic reform?
Actually, I am impressed completely. There is a lot of mega projects that are quite important, like the new administrative capital. It's representing a very important and ambitious project. But for me, actually, on a personal basis, I am impressed actually by nowadays trying to link Sinai with Egypt by the great tunnels. And nowadays we are trying to, develop Sinai, to exploit Sinai as resources. Yes. So this is, for me, is quite a very ambitious and important project, and we have to work hard in order to find opportunities of job for Sinai people, and then to attract people from the condensed areas in other parts of Egypt, like in the big cities, Cairo, Alexandria, and so on, to attract them towards living in these very lovely areas, and how to attract them by offering opportunities. Nowadays we have, reclamation, we have a large project regarding construction, we have large, cities inside that you can find all facilities, and I believe this is a very important way towards attracting people, and the most important of that, to have a sustainable and decent opportunity of job, decent work according to ILO. And I believe that this is the only way, but we have to attract youth towards going in these areas and to revive these areas by their efforts. And I believe this is our dream for Egypt, that we exploit all our resources, and for the youth that are suffering from unemployment, I believe this is a good important. Nowadays we heard about trying to plan to achieve such a goal, like regarding the agriculture sector, to specify the lands that can be cultivated and which crops that can be cultivated in an economic way, and then having the other dimension, which is environmental and social, so we can achieve a better sustainable development. So for me, this is a very ambitious, and this is linked actually with the area of Suez Canal. And we have 5 ports in this area. This is a very important area. It could be linked to the project of Silk of China. I believe this is a very important way to do it. But we have to work harder than that. We have to work harder than that towards. We have been talking about these areas and activating the roles in economic development, attracting people. But like I mentioned from the beginning, the institutional basis that support our president, it's not strong and efficient enough towards lifting the country into the big ambition. So this is how to concentrate, or why we should concentrate on building capabilities of human resources so that to cope and to achieve our dreams.
Yes, Dr. Hamaki, I wanted to know your point of view concerning that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi last week signed an agreement with a German company, Siemens, in order to implement the mega project, or let me say a national project of having a high-speed electric railway that is going to be at a cost of 360 billion Egyptian pounds and 1,000 kilometers railway long. So how do you see the importance of this mega project and national project in linking the east and the west of Egypt, and also linking the Mediterranean with the Red Sea?
You know, infrastructure and transportation quite important.
Let me add also that it's going to connect for example, from the Suez Governorate, the Al Ain al-Sukhna, passing by the administrative capital to El Alamein.
Yes. This is quite important because, you know, transportation is essential for any economic activities, and the most important impact of transportation is reducing the cost. When you reduce the cost, you are improving competitiveness, and this is the most important thing in economics. But from my point of view, how I can read this? I can read this in two ways. The first way is to what extent we are relying on multinationals in order to cooperate on a win-win situation. This is quite important, and President Sisi, everywhere he's going for the last period, even it's in North, in South countries, in United States several times, meeting the businessmen and women, talking about the opportunities in China, you know, different areas of the world, trying to enhance, you know, the attractiveness of Egypt towards foreign direct investment. Still, what we need, the questions that we have to address, what we need from multinationals in Egypt. Still, the role, according to our studies as economists, still multinationals are benefiting from Egypt more than what we are benefiting from them. Which means that if you refer to evaluate such a role, you can refer to the export of multinationals in Egypt. You are not going to find any export for multinationals in Egypt. This can tell you to how extent that multinationals in Egypt are coming to address the local market. And this is, you know, should be changed, because most countries of the world that relied on multinationals, they relied on them to transfer technology so that to develop their competitiveness and then to be able to export. So if you cannot link the role of multinationals with improving competitiveness, and this is coming by upgrading skills of labor and by transferring technology, and Egypt is quite a very important area to do that. Why? Because we have very large population. The majority of this population are youth. They are very intelligent youth. You know, as a professor in university, I can tell you about my students. They are very intelligent. They are quite can be affected by good training and upgrading their skills. And at the end, the multinationals are going to benefit. Why? Because when you develop research on a mutual basis of win-win, you are investing on the intelligence of these youth, and you can benefit from the results of that as multinationals, and the country hosted this multinational. So this is what we have to concentrate on for the coming period, inshallah.
Yes, Dr. Hamaki, how do you evaluate the economic reforms and see the economy in Egypt in light of the challenges facing Egypt concerning the coronavirus?
Actually, you know, coronavirus has affected seriously the Egyptian economy. The whole world, you know, and you know, I during my coming today, I read a report regarding how Africa has been affected by COVID-19. And I believe that nowadays Egypt is having a free trade area with African countries, 55 African countries who have a good potentiality. But, you know, Egypt has been affected. What in my studies and the researches we have done for the last period as economists, we emphasize the importance of when we address COVID-19, we should concentrate on economic activities that are marketable in the situation of COVID-19, which means what Egypt is having a comparative advantage in medical, you know, industries. In food industries, we have a very good comparative advantage of that. So we have to activate our roles towards enhancing our industries. Why? Because the whole world is in need of masks, for example, or medical supplements. So we have to concentrate on these capabilities in order to manage COVID-19 from one perspective and from another, in order to gain foreign inflows, foreign exchange inflows, so that to achieve more stabilization of our exchange rate policy, and inshallah to manage to achieve what we have mentioned regarding the vision of 2030 and how Egypt with the mega project can inshallah be in the position it deserves internationally.
Yes. Dr. Hamaki, what are your expectations concerning achieving growth rates exceeding this year's 3.6% in the year 2021? Are they optimistic and or realistic at the same time?
You know, the data I have and the researches we have as economists enable Egypt to achieve more than that. This is quite clear because we have a lot of potentialities everywhere. What we are talking, whether, to answer your question, if we can achieve this rate or not, it depends about the management of these resources. To how extent we are going to be successful in managing our resources towards achieving such a goal. Like, I'm not going to put investment in the tourism, for example, nowadays, because tourism is nowadays, and transportation, international transportation have been affected seriously by the COVID-19. But what we have to concentrate on, we have to refer to our industries of medical supplement, of medicines, of food industries, and to support these industries and to enhance their capabilities and competitiveness, to you know, enhance their capabilities for export and for enhancing their competitiveness for the local market. If we do that properly and with enhancing our other activities in information technology and to build our database regarding, you know, you cannot perform economically without having the right database. We don't have this database actually, you know, in a better way, despite that we have captains doing very good efforts and they transfer their and they upgrade their you know, capabilities towards that, but still, what type of database we are in deep need of it? We need to know for each industries who are the players, what are their competitiveness, to what extent we can, what are their challenges towards enhancing this competitiveness. So this is the database we need to do it, and when we do it properly, inshallah, we can achieve a better than 3.6% rate of growth.
I thank you very much. I really had the pleasure and the honor to have you. You are one of the icons of economics in Egypt. I thank you very much for your time, Dr. Yomn Al-Hamaki, Professor of Economics, St. James University. Thank you very much for coming today. Well, a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be back.